Now turn to part 1. Part 1. You will hear a man phoning an aquatic centre inquiring about a part-time job as a lifeguard. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 5. Hello, North Bay Aquatic Centre. Jane is speaking.
Oh, hello. I'm calling to apply for a part-time lifeguard position. Am I speaking to the right person?
Yes, you are. We are currently recruiting lifeguards for 2 different positions. But first, I'll have to jot down some of your personal information before we officially invite you for an interview. Is that all right?
Sure, no problem.
May I have your name, please?
It's Peter Smith.
OK. And what is your current address?
It's 130 South Main Street, Lake Elsinore.
I'm sorry, Elsinore?
Oh, it's E-L-S-I-N-O-R-E, Elsinore.
Right, got it. What is your phone number?
My home phone number is 077-995362. Actually, it's easier to reach me by my cell phone number. It's 077896245. I'm mainly out these days.
Right. Can you tell me about your work experience?
Well, I now work as a waiter, and that's just a part-time gig. It requires serving customers, and I also have some cleaning duties.
OK. Do you have any other part-time job?
No, but I'm majoring in physical education right now. I'm learning exercise physiology, sports nutrition, and individual fitness activities, and I want to become a baseball coach for a local high school.
So, do you have any other relevant work experience to a lifeguard position?
Oh, right. I also worked part-time as a rescue diver for a local beach last summer. I'm certified for open water rescue missions.
Excellent. That's exactly what we're looking for. Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 6 to 10. Before we continue, I need to know a few more things to ensure that you are qualified for maintaining water safety during work.
OK, go ahead.
As a lifeguard, you will spend most of your time monitoring the area near the water and reducing risks to everyone here. So we are looking for someone who can stay focused. Do you have difficulties concentrating or any related disorders?
No, I don't have any medical disorders relating to that sort of problem.
We're also expecting someone with good eyesight, because a lifeguard must be able to recognize and respond to any struggling swimmers quickly.
I have sharp vision. I mean, both eyes are 20/10 without correction.
Good. Do you have relevant skills in terms of lifeguarding?
I'm good at diving. You know my previous job requires training in that.
We only need lifeguards with certification. I assume you already have one, right?
Yes, to get the certificate, I received training for waterfront lifeguarding 2 years ago. The training includes things like providing first aid and emergency care, but mine is about to expire in November. Oh, wait, let me check. It's a month earlier, in October.
Okay, you're good for now before it expires. But if you want to work here for the whole year, you'll have to renew it.
I see.
What time do you prefer to work?
I already work part-time in a restaurant on weekdays, so I'd like to work on the weekend.
We already have enough people working here on Sundays.
I can work on Saturday mornings then.
Right.
And I can start from 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm a morning person.
Sounds great. Where did you hear about our recruitment information from?
I heard it on radio this morning while driving. I wouldn't say I like reading newspapers.
Thank you for calling. We'll notify you about the interview details in 2 days.
Thank you. Bye.
Goodbye. That is the end of part 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers to part 1. Part 2. You will hear part of a radio programme about a new route for cyclists called the Elmston Way. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 14. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 14.
Welcome to our holiday special. Today, I'll be talking about a new cycle route in this area called the Elmston Way. It's well signposted, so you can see exactly where to go, and it's an easy ride with no steep hills. It's 35 kilometers long from Elmston to Langton, and consists partly of cycle paths and partly of roads. Let me outline the route briefly, starting at Elmston Railway Station. The first part is a cycle path running eastwards, roughly parallel to the rail track. Almost immediately, the railway curves away and goes around the southern side of a little lake, but the cycle path takes the northern route around the lake. Keep your eyes open for the swans that nest there. The path then joins the road, and the next landmark is a group of massive rocks that tower over the countryside. You'll see them to the east of the road just before the road goes under the railway. They're imposing. Soon you'll come to a fork in the road where you'll leave the road and head off towards the river. But if you want to make a detour to Corley Nature Reserve, go straight on instead of leaving the road here. Continuing along the cycle path, you'll reach the River Cleve. The cycle path follows the river southwards. After a bit, you'll see the Ashington China factory, which closed in 1962. It now offers guided tours to the public, which is worth a visit. Right after the factory, there's a bridge over the river. and you carry on with farmland to the north, right after the bridge, and the Langton Forest to the south. Somewhere between the cycle route and the railway line sighted a statue of Captain Cook, which dates back to the 18th century. The route ends at Langton Village, where you'll find a railway station. So you can either catch the train here or cycle back to Elmston.
Before you hear the rest of the programme, you have some time to look at questions 15 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 15 to 20.
One point to remember when cycling on the Elmston Way is to keep your eyes open for sheep, which occasionally stray onto the cycle path from the adjoining fields. So be careful to avoid accidents. The park is well constructed, so wet or muddy conditions do not affect it. There'll be old cars or tractors when you're cycling on roads, but most traffic has been diverted to the main road that bypasses the whole area. Now, a bit more about some of the places you'll see. The starting point, Elmston Station, was quite busy in the early 20th century, with services to several major cities, but it was closed in the 1950s. Eventually, a small company was set up to turn it into a sort of railway museum, maintaining it in the style of the 1950s, and the station was ready for trains to start using it again earlier this year. It's only used by a few local trains, though. There's a visitors' centre at the station, which houses a small exhibition about the history of railway transport all over the world, and a facility for hiring bikes if you don't have one of your own. A small shop just across the road from the station also sells refreshments. As I said, you can cycle to Langton and return to Elmston by train or the other way because you can take your cycle on the train. There's no need to make a reservation, there's plenty of room and no extra charge. However, the service is limited, and the trains between these places don't run on weekdays. If you want to see the River Elm, there's a footpath from Elmston Station, and you can safely leave your bike in the car park there. Leave yourself plenty of time, though. Going down is easy, but climbing up is pretty steep, so walking back up to the top can take quite a while. But it's worth the effort. The scenery is lovely, and the footpath runs right next to the river down to a waterfall. Finally, there are many other cycle paths if you like to do more cycling in the area. We'll be talking on the radio about them, and you'll be able to get fuller details in the Saturday edition of the local paper. The National Cycle Network also has some details on its website, although I have to say they don't have any local ones yet. But that may change, so get out your bicycle.
That is the end of part 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers to part 2.